In modern days, the idea of video game characters being sexy is considered a pretty normal thing, with TV shows and movies based on them coming out quite regularly. But there was once a time where that was practically unheard of. It wasn't until the dawn of 3D technology in the mid-1990s where the pixels and polygons on screen would not only accurately depict a human-like character, but also draw similar emotions as if they were. Arguably, the peak of this would be in 2002 when video game developer Terminal Reality came out with a series of games about a dhampir called BloodRayne. BloodRayne is arguably the first mainstream game to place sexuality as its main selling point. Rain is depicted as a woman in black and red leather with pale skin and short red hair. Her backstory is that she is the product of an evil vampire who attacked her human mother. She is hired by a secret society as an assassin used to kill supernatural threats to humans while also looking for her undead family to seek revenge on them. What makes the game stand out is the fact that it isn't hidden that she was created to be a sex symbol. Throughout the game, as you progress, she says lots of double entendres as she's killing enemies. The second game ramps up the sexuality as you can pretty much change her attire to match whatever fetish you're into using cheat codes, and most notably, how and what it sounds like when she feeds. BloodRayne quickly became a household name for these reasons, even resulting in her becoming the first video game character to pose topless for Playboy, and obviously being a popular cosplay at comic conventions. This of course meant that at some point the idea of making a live-action version had to happen, and in 2006 it did. Well, kinda. Directed by veteran video game to film director Uwe Boll, the film titled BloodRayne was loosely based on its source material. Starring Christiana Loken and Michelle Rodriguez, the film acts as an origin story for Rain, which is very toned down compared to the games. The film takes place sometime in the 1800s, well before the game's timeline, and starts with her being held against her will by a traveling circus, who is using her as an attraction. She ends up escaping when a member of the circus tries to molest her, and the blood from her scratching him ends up in her mouth, sending her on a blood rage where she kills him and pretty much everyone else, including her best friend, accidentally, who she then takes her trademark arm swords from. The rest of the film revolves around Rain's attempt to find an ancient talisman that would allow her to get to her father, the vampire Kagan, who she wants to kill, basically making this more like a Tomb Raider film than anything related to the BloodRayne game series. In fact, the film is nowhere near as bad as many make it out to be, but if you were looking for anything like the video game, which most who watched the film were, you would be massively disappointed, as this BloodRayne is basically a PG-rated superhero saving families, playing with kids, and falling in love. There are a number of scenes in which she feeds on and kills other vampires, and she does also kill Michelle Rodriguez's character Katrina, who it gets revealed turns on the vampire hunting Brimstone Society towards the end of the film. Fact of the matter is, even if the film actually did follow the game, it was cursed from the start due to its limited theatrical release and the fact that it came out the same time period as a much better and ironically closer to the source material vampire film, which is the Underworld franchise. Despite the film bombing, Boll would take 2 more cracks at it. He released a straight-to-DVD sequel to BloodRayne called BloodRayne 2 Deliverance. Did he learn his lesson about deviating from the source material and giving the audience that wanted a BloodRayne film what they wanted? Absolutely not. Since this was a lower-budget movie, gone were the big-budget actors, and Rain is now being played by B-movie vampire veteran Natasha Malte, who oddly enough wore a very BloodRayne-like costume in the 2000 Sci-Fi Channel film Vampire Wars. So what went wrong? Well, they didn't even try to make Malte look like Rain, so it's hardly a believable BloodRayne film. Then, this time, the film is a Western. Yep, you heard me right. And no, I don't mean it as a BloodRayne film that just happens to take place in an old Western backdrop. I mean the plot is literally Rain versus Billy the Kid. You see her fangs maybe once in the film, but this is really truly a Western, so once again we get an IP that is supposed to be about one thing that's turned into something totally different, ignoring the source material even more, as at least the last film did have some elements of the original story. Eventually, Boll, who was not very good at criticism of his work, would figure it out, but it was too little too late by the time BloodRayne Third Reich came out in 2011, which was the only movie in the series which actually resembled the source material. This film takes place in the 1940s during World War II, which would match the timeline of the first video game. This film is basically Rain versus Nazis. The plot is that Rain accidentally turns a Nazi commander during a fight, and she must stop him and a Nazi scientist from weaponizing vampirism and turning all Nazis. So basically just innocent blood, but Nazis instead of mafia. Out of the 3 films, this is the one film where it actually seemed like they may have actually decided to play the game for 10 minutes to match parts of it. It's even believed that the character in the film Svetlana, a call girl who spies for the Nazis who ends up being turned into a dhampir herself and is experimented on by the Nazi scientists to try to weaponize it, is a reference to a dhampir character in the 1999 computer game Nocturne, which was the inspiration for the Rayne character. So despite 3 tries, we never actually get the sexy vampire seductress that the game introduced us to way back in 2002. Well, at least not officially. What I mean by that is, part of BloodRayne's lore is clearly inspired by Blade, but there is a British film from 1998 featuring a character named Lilith Silver called Razorblade Smile, which has a lot of similarities, as she is also a leather-clad vampire secret agent who uses swords and sex to fulfill assassination missions for a secret group, so it's a major coincidence if they weren't at least somewhat inspired by this. But the biggest positive being the fan films, with the most impressive being a 2009 10-minute short created by Storm God Studios available on YouTube. In that film, Rayne, played by Veer Vanguard, confronts a group of Nazis as they accurately recreate many of Rayne's abilities from the game, as well as a very accurate costume and the cocky, flirty attitude. We even get the film's trademark mounting bite, so at least someone did do the franchise justice. BloodRayne's character has become a symbol of the action horror genre and one of the most memorable sex symbols of the 2000s. Hopefully, at some point, someone will get the chance to bring her to life in television and or movies and finally do the character justice. But much like another character in that category, Vampirella, it could be a long wait. Thanks for watching. If you like these recaps, please leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to know every time I update. There is now an option to be a channel member where you'll get access to exclusive recaps from late-night vampire catalogs like Showtime, Cinemax After Dark, USA Up All Night, and much more. If you want to help my channel grow, please check out my Patreon, where members can get exclusive content that can't be uploaded on YouTube, along with download options. Link is in the description.